Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2. It's a glorious sunny day here on the launch site. It's beautiful out there, isn't it? Today, we're going to focus on getting our people back. We've decided getting our people is more important than any science we could have. So, Kerbal is here. DUNA is there. So we got a little bit of time left until they're properly lined up for a DUNA transfer. So we're just going to let some time go by for a little bit here. Moon rover just keeps running out of EC. There's really nothing I can do about that other than shutting up these notifications. Maybe just disable and demolish the vessel solar panels. If I can just like get rid of the solar panels, then it will remain out of EC forever. That would be probably fine. Okay, so right about here is a pretty good place to stop here. Okay, Moonsat's just kind of sitting over there. So we're going to be right about here. This is decently lined up, as well as Jewel is also, again, decently lined up. We're going to look to get our lathe probe. I've got an idea, and I don't know. I don't have a high degree of confidence that it's going to work, but I think it'll be cool to try it. And we'll talk about that maybe in the next video or something. But what we're going to do today, right, is we're going to go to DUNA. So now that we're properly lined up, I don't think there's any real science innovations that will matter for this mission. But I do know that medium payloads, there's a big hint for you, medium payloads is going to be needed for the next mission. So I'm going to grab that anyway because we can use it. And then I don't think there's really a whole lot of stuff we can get in here that matters. There's different lander cans and stuff, heavy construction stuff, I guess. There's like adapters and stuff, but we're not going to need any of these for what we're doing today. So just really quick checking to see if there's any other items. We might actually need large payloads to do the thing I want to do, but we'll see if we can make it work in the smaller one. Okay, and that's it. So to the assembly building, I have installed, per the advice of the chat, the comment section, I have installed Micro Engineer. It will now tell us all the things about our vessel right here in a nice clean interface, and I don't have to like expand two windows to see things. It's gonna be great that way. And I've also installed one other mod too. I don't think I can actually see that without going to the main menu. So if it pops up, then I'll show you what it is. If it doesn't, then we'll wait until it does, and then I'll show you what it is. So to go to, actually, we should go to mission control first. To go to Ike, or DUNA, right? In this case, we're going to DUNA to get our people. We can also go to Ike. We can land on Ike with a crew of 3. So that's a mission. We might as well dip into that while we're going out to get our people, right? I think that's a swell idea. Let's double dip this. So I think we should use the 3-seat command pod, because we have 2 Kerbals that are stuck around DUNA. And for this mission, I'm thinking maybe Tim C. Tim C is going to go rescue our people. All right. So the first thing I want to look at here is, can we outfit this with any science that we didn't already have when we went to DUNA the first time? And the answer is a resounding yes, we absolutely can. We can, for example, equip this with the science lab, the star lab for orbital surveys. Let's move this over here so you can see the names, right? And we could do that. We also didn't have this experiment when we went to DUNA the first time as well. I don't remember if we had the science junior, but either way, we still have not done the science junior and stuff on the surface of Ike, and we haven't done any experiments on the surface of Ike. So we absolutely should be taking the science junior as well. So I'm going to take the science junior here, and I'm going to take the radiation survey right there on top of it. Yep. That's where we're going to put it. On the sides, to make sure for survivability's sake, we are going to equip this vessel with 2 drogue chutes and 2 radially mounted parachutes right like that. I think that will work out just nicely. Indeed. Underneath this, we're going to have a heat shield. Where's the thermals? There we go. Heat shield right here. That's going to be good. And let's fit this with, let's do like half a ton. I don't know if we'll need it, but there might be a need for like a lot of aero brakes. We'll go like 0.48. That's fine. Okay, so 0.48, close. All right, it won't close. There it goes. I want to have a coupling. This is what we're going to return to Kerbin with. This is it. This is all that's coming back. And honestly, I don't care if this stuff burns up, just as long as we run the experiments before it does. And in fact, if I really wanted to do this, well, it doesn't really matter if it burns up. I was going to say I could, like, maybe... I can't radially mount the radiation thing. It's kind of odd, but all right, it's fine. Again, I guess I can with a radial attachment point, but then it would be stuck on the side of my vessel like this, and I don't want to do that. So, okay, so here's what we can do. We have the decoupler. We have this. This is what's coming back to Kerbin. Now let's talk about what's going to landing on Ike. So Ike it's sort of like landing on the moon, on Moon, right? Sort of. And we're going to want to also have these parachutes separated. There we go. Sort of like landing on the moon. So we're going to need to equip this vessel with a way to land on the moon. Makes sense. Before we do that, though, let's put the science lab on there. Because we want that, right? And then just so that we're covering our bases, I don't know if we'll need it, but just because we're covering it, we're going to add one of these right underneath. Let's put it like right over here. Just one of them right there, okay? So we can cover our bases with all the science we can do. Okay, cool. I don't think anyway, we've ran the science lab in low Kerbin orbit yet either. Because we tried running it as we were, moving away from Kerbin, and it kept resetting because of the whole biome specific thing. And I don't think we actually finished it over the seas before transitioning to high orbit. So we might want to look into doing that before we leave too. On this, I'm going to place right here one of these bad boys. Is that enough? Is that 36 gigameters is enough, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. We're going to place that right there. Just one of them is good. That'll give me communications. Probably should include some batteries. Not sure it's necessary to include a lot of batteries, because we'll have plenty of solar generation. So I'll put 2 batteries on the side here too. Again, this stuff can burn up when we enter. I'm okay with that. Science lab's gonna burn up. We're okay with that. It's not science. It's not career mode, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so on this part here, we want this to land on Ike, and I'm thinking probably this fuel tank is all I'd want to do, but I do need a wide base, just in case we land on uneven terrain. We're going to aim for flat ground, but that doesn't mean we're going to hit it. So I'm thinking we can pull in some of these smaller ones. And why don't we make these decoupleable? Because we don't need them. We don't need them to come with us later. So how about we do something like this? These are wide. I don't need these big of decouplers, but I'm going to use them because it makes my base wider. About like that. And then let's just pop these, kind of like down here on this like that. And then for the engines on this stage, we'll pop the Poodle on here. That gets really good ISP. And then we'll also put the Terrier engines underneath these. And they should pretty much line up to where they are flat. And it looks like I'm going to land on the Terriers, which is fine. Now, if we land particularly hard, and I do hope we do not land particularly hard, but if we do, I would like a backup plan for this. So we're also going to put on the ground, we're also going to use the landing legs. And we're not going to place it here. We're going to place them in here, if the game lets me. So we're going to do 4 landing legs, and that is too close to the tank, but that's not close enough. I want this like in between. So we're going to hit C to stop the snapping, and we're going to just barely go about here. Now, when you do that, it doesn't rotate around the tank anymore. So you have to come over and rotate it afterwards. But you can get it about like that, which would be pretty good. And if we can do this in such a way that yeah, like that. So they're just, you can kind of see where they are. So the landing legs are just higher, just a tad bit higher than the Terrier. But they're still lower than the engine here. And so the reason for that is if it looks like we're going to land a little bit high, let's say we're running out of fuel at these stages or something, right? It looks like we're going to hit just a little bit harder than I think. And let's say, hypothetically, this engine breaks. The other 3 are good, but this engine breaks. That might be enough to tip us over. So the landing leg is there next to this engine as a security measure so that it will pick up the slack if this breaks. And it's not hitting the ground unless it does break. So they won't both break at the same time. At least that's the idea. Think of it like a crumple zone for my landing. I like it. I'm gonna put that I'm gonna put that a little closer. All right, seems good. All right, so get rid of that. We're gonna go ahead and pop that inside. There we go, and we can adjust things as we go. Now, one of the problems we had on DUNA was getting in the command pod, and I don't want that to be a problem when we go to Ike. So we're gonna have everybody navigate. You're gonna exit basically through the science module. And you're going to navigate through the science module, and you're going to leave this craft through ladders, understandably. So we're going to put this ladder right there, right next to the door. All right. Now, we want this ladder to stick out a little bit. So we're also going to just move it out a tad. Doesn't have to move it a lot because the other parts of this ladder, there we go. That's pretty good right there. And just so it's like lining up with the door. I like it. All right, so keep that extended. The other parts of this engine, of this ladder, need to stick out because this science bit is a little too wide. So I'm going to take this ladder. We're going to go down where this one ends. So it's right about, you see how it ends right there. So I'm going to go up about here, let's say. And then we're going to do another one from here at the bottom. About here, and that should get us a ladder that's all the way into the ground. Yep. And so the Kerbals will be able to get on the ladder without any jumping at all, no monopropellant required, and they should be able to climb all the way up to that door. But there's a gap here. You can kind of see there's like, this one here is a little too far out, right? So we have to adjust this ladder, and this is gonna maybe affect aerodynamics a little bit, but I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. It's just a ladder. We're going to bring it out about like that so that it's lined up with there. And then this one will do the exact same thing. We're going to just line this up where it comes up right there. Okay. So that takes care of our Kerbals can't get back in the pod problems, potentially. All right, we'll just close these ladders. That's good. Okay. So next, well, we probably should make these a little bit more aerodynamic, right? And I'm thinking, why not add a little bit of fuel there too? So add these right here, and let's line up the blue parts. I should probably look at coloring, huh? We can do that kind of stuff, right? We should probably look at coloring things. There is an engineer's report. I've had numerous people tell me about that. That's how you can tell your thrust weight, and that's how you can tell your mass and all that stuff. This is only available when you're building the craft. It's not available in flight. That's what I'm saying. I want to be able to see it in flight. Maybe Microengineer will tell me that in flight. I don't know. I haven't flown with Microengineer yet, so I guess we'll find out. It's also not telling me any torque. That's a good sign. It's a really good sign. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. The next step would be, in this case, would be decoupling. Right here. Yep. So let's go down to like this. Oh, we want to rotate this, don't we? Yeah, let's rotate you to line up with. Okay, I'm not sure why you need to flicker. Wow, you just kind of stopped being symmetrical all of a sudden. Okay, fair. Here you go. Now can you rotate and be lined up with the blue part? I want you to line up with the blue part. Can I? Yeah, like that. Was that so tough? Was that really so much to ask? Right, again, I probably should look at colors because my colors are really bland. It's just one of those things where it's like, this isn't important to me, so I focus on the things that are important to me instead. Okay, so we've done all the science stuff. We've got all that stuff equipped. I think we're pretty much ready to go there, and this stage is the one that's going to go to DUNA. So how much Delta V does this stage have? Well, right now we're only firing these outside engines, and if we do that over Kerbin, these things are in reverse order. No, they're not. This is 1 and then 2 and then 1 and 2. Okay. If we do that around Kerbin, it's only a 0.45 thrust to weight ratio. So if I fire these 4 engines on around Kerbin, we're not even going to get off the ground. But on Ike, it's a little bit different. Now we have a 4, or 3.99 thrust to weight ratio. Now that is significantly improved. And it means that these engines here will be sufficient to land on Ike. It also contains 1,573 meters per second. That is certainly enough to land on Ike. And then we want to get home, of course. And if there's any complications with, fuel shortages, or we burn badly, or we didn't have a good descent profile, whatever it is, stage 2 comes with 2,100 meters per second. All right, in a vacuum. It's pretty much all vacuum is what these things are going to look at. Okay. So what I'm saying is, we good to go for the rescue mission. All right. So the next thing is getting to DUNA in the first place, and that's going to be probably just this big one here. I'd like it. I like multiple stages with this. I think it would be a good thing. Just because I'm worried about space junk and how much Delta V we're going to have. And I don't want to have junk left behind, right? I'm trying to avoid that as a role-playing, metric. I don't want to leave things in space. So let's use the trumpet. I haven't used this yet, but it's very efficient. 382 meters per second. Or sorry, 382 seconds of ISP. It's pretty good. It's going to have a 906, which is not great. Not great at all. Let's give it a little more fuel, shall we? 1591 is loads better. That's way better, all right? What this thing needs to do is it needs to transition us to DUNA, okay? Take us to DUNA, basically. And also then get us captured. And if you have any fuel left, transfer us to Ike. But most likely not going to have enough fuel left. The transfer to Ike will happen with this top stage instead, probably. Because I want to deorbit this, I would want to eject this while we still have a periaps in DUNA, so that this thing will fall to the ground and burn up and die in DUNA. That's the idea. Okay, ideally, that's what I want to have happen. So if this thing is my transfer stage, then everything else below this needs to get us to orbit. Okay? So let's go ahead and see if we can't get something that takes us to orbit. I'm going to use, for this, the long tank here. I'm going to it's kind of a long, skinny rocket, but I think it'll be all right. We're going to use a couple of things here. We got this long tank here, and I think maybe, let's just see what the Delta V ends up being. I don't know. I'm going to use the big boy mainsail right here. 256, 265. I can't, I'm dyslexic this morning, I think. 265 seconds of ISP in the atmosphere. And I think maybe I could maybe use the skipper instead. There's also a possibility, I guess, to just go up a size higher and use a Rhino. That would be that's really extreme, but it is more efficient. So maybe we try that instead. So for the fuel tank, we're going to go with an adapter tank first, like that makes the rocket wider. And then let's add another tank right there. And then let's pop the Rhino on there and see whether or not that's going to do anything really good for us here. That's going to be, no, this is going to be Kerbin. Kerbin. I feel like all new stages should be automatically configured to be Kerbin. That makes sense to me. Like the top one should be Ike, right? But every new stage you make should be Kerbin, but by default, but I guess maybe not. So one other thing I'd like to see from this mod is when I highlight this, I feel like it should also highlight the engines the same as if I'm highlighting this. I think that'd be really easy to code. Just highlight this here at the same time as I highlight this here. That would be, I think, a very easy thing to code, but it's okay. So right there, the stage is in Kerbin. Yeah. Okay. So we are looking at almost enough to get to orbit here with this. So for this part, I'm going to use boosters, obviously. And we're going to say that for coupling, we're going to use these. Where are they at? Oh, I didn't hit coupling right here. I want these. And we're just going to have 2 of them. I think 2 will be plenty for what we're going to use because I've been wanting to use these things. The Clydesdales. Oh, baby. The big old Clydesdales. We're going to use them. And this is way too tall. We don't need that. So let's bring it up to about here. There we go. Big old Clydesdales. Hot damn. That's good. Now, should we put any type of additional aerodynamics on these? I'm wondering. We definitely want to strut things. So I can do that right now. Just strut to there. Keep things from wobbling on us. And you know what? It's probably a good idea to strut these too, I suppose. So why don't we go ahead and strut from here to here just to create that additional stability that'll help us out. That's probably fine. I don't think it's necessary to do the bottom, but I'm going to do it anyway. Here we go. Just strut that, make it roll nice and rigid. That's good. On the top of the boosters, we're going to do the same thing we did before. On the top of the boosters, I want the this little fuel adapter, fuel tank. It's a tank with fuel in it, but it you know, makes like a cone shape so that it is, yeah, more aerodynamic. And then I'll go ahead and put, I think, this one here on there as well. Let's go ahead and line these things up because we can. And I'm just going to rotate you. Okay, you're doing that thing again where you don't want to be symmetrical even though I'm in symmetry mode. Maybe we'll take off the snapping. It's a little odd that you do that. There we go. Still flickering and it's still removing it. Well, I guess we're not going to line it up because it's doing weird things. I still got some bugs with this game, man. They need to work on that. All right, so we're not going to bother with lining up these because it don't matter. But that makes those boosters way more aerodynamic, right? I'm liking that. Then we're going to take the same thing we did before. We'll take the fuel line, and we're going to grab that fuel line from here, and we're going to bring it down to the bottom tank here. That's going to allow us to use the fuel in here first, and then this one. And by doing that, we should be able to get out of this atmosphere real easy. And when we decouple these, we have more fuel left in that tank. So I think this is the vessel we're going to use to get up there and rescue our people, yeah? I think this looks good. The numbers look good to me anyway. We're going to want to burn this engine at the same time. But we're not going to activate it. We're just going to let it sit for a little bit while the boosters do all the work. Well, I mean, I might burn this for, you know, I might turn this on until we're at like 2,000 or 3,000 meters, but for the most part, I want this engine to do all the work after the boosters are mostly depleted, because our thrust to weight ratio is going to be considerable here, 1.7 on this. And so that means that if we put everything full bore, I know people are going to say this, isn't it more efficient to burn everything? Yes, it is. But if I do that, I'm going to burn up. Well, at least it's possible my experiments get lost because I'll be going too fast. And when you get going too fast in lower atmosphere, you're losing anyway because aerodynamic pressure is just offsetting any advantage you would have for additional thrust. So you don't want to just go as fast as possible all the time through the atmosphere. You're going to hit aero forces and it's going to bite you. You're going to lose. So I am going to play it safe by having this stage active, but regulating the throttle so that we don't go too fast through there. And then just letting the expendable stage that's going to stop. Like, I can't stop them anyway. Letting those expendable stages do what they do. Okay, I think this stage here needs to be all in one. And I think we're good to go there. The last thing I want to do, I do have a few batteries, which is good, but the last thing I need to do is add electric generation. Needs to happen as well. And we're going to use, I think, 2 of these little solar panels right here. Would be a fine fit for our mission. So we'll go about there with it. That's fine. And that gives us solar power. I don't think there's anything else. I'm trying to, like, in my head, double checking here. I got parachutes, all experiments. I got Tim C. I got my ladders. I've got I got a landing plan. I got a backup to that landing plan. I mean, the only thing I don't have is like a fail ejection system in case of failures or anything, but this rocket is in good shape. I don't think that's going to be a problem. It's going to move up as we go. Yeah, it's going to be very stable. Be a very stable rocket. It will be a very stable rocket as long as I have control surfaces. In the beginning, without control surfaces, this will be very difficult to control. So I will need some kind of control surface down here. I think I'm going to place them mostly on the boosters. That right there will be enough for lower atmosphere. By the time I get to the upper atmosphere, I don't believe I'll need any more, but either way, this stage is expendable anyway, so I'm not going to have to deal with it as I go to Ike. So it doesn't matter if I put it on the bottom here anyway. So we'll just have, let's go with, well, I wanted 4, but they're not cooperating. There we go. I guess we'll just do it like that. And that will be a very stable rocket. We're not getting lost on that at all. So this is showing 7,100 meters per second. I feel like, I'm not sure that's enough. I question whether that's enough. Let me take a look at what the trip planner says. I think the trip planner is going to tell me I need more, but we can, again, ignore certain things like Kerbin reorbit and things like that. Oh, whoops, not Kerbin. I said Kerbin. I saw Kerbin and then clicked it. Yeah, Ike. All right, so it wants me to have 10. I think this is fine. We're at 86. We're actually at 8,600 instead of this. Not sure why that's showing that then. Maybe it's just a disconnect with like how the stages work, but it'll iron out. This is fine then. We have more than enough. And remember, we're rescuing right here, right? So we need to get closer to, we need to get close to another vessel. So there's going to be, it's not just about going to DUNA and being there and then going to Ike and landing. We have to adjust our orbits and be able to burn on and off to meet up with another craft so that Kerbals can offload off that craft and get into this one. All right? That's something that has to happen. There's extra fuel involved in that too. I don't think, because we're not docking, I don't need any monopropellant. I don't need any RCS. However, because of the weight of this craft, it might be helpful to have just a tad bit more control authority on it. I'm going to say that we place, where is it? Right here. We're going to place one of these on there. I think it would be helpful. I don't think it's needed. It's certainly helpful to have another reaction wheel there to help us out. We're not docking. So without docking, no need for RCS. RCS is only needed in KSP. In real space, by all means, use RCS a lot. But in KSP, RCS is only needed when you need to do precision stuff in space. Unless, obviously, if you don't want to use your fuel and you want to make minor corrections, then fine. It is more convenient to have RCS as well. Certainly more convenient, but you're going to sacrifice Delta V to get it, and I don't need it, so I'm not going to bother with it on this mission. Okay, so all set here. I think we're good. Yep, everything is A-okay. Staging looks solid. Yep. All right, so what are we going to call this? This is the DUNA Rescue. DUNA Rescue. DUNA Rescue 1. You know, in case we have to rescue this one, then we want to make sure that we are calling the second one DUNA Rescue 2, right? Okay, so I'll just save this as DUNA Rescue. I don't like the save. I'm just going to say it. I don't like the way they've done this. I think it's too complicated. There's no need to have a different workspace and stuff, but I get why they've done it, though. I understand why they've done it, because you can have multiple crafts in the same space, right? So I totally understand that, but it's going to get crowded, and it takes too long to save a vessel, in my opinion. It's just an opinion. You know, you can like it or not. So DUNA would be, I guess DUNA would be the workspace, but it's a different craft, right? It's a completely different mission. So it's going to be DUNA 2 workspace, and this is DUNA Rescue 1, and that's it. All right, let's give this thing a quick test flight and just see kind of where we stand right now. And we're going to take off, get ourselves up to space, and we're going to burn the Rhino until the nose tanks are empty, and then we'll have to reassess. I think at that point we can assess whether or not we really need them, whether or not we need the Rhino or not. Here we go. So just let's just get up there out of the thickest part with the Rhino here. We'll start dialing it down. I don't need it. take a little breather here. Also want to slam ourselves sideways just a little bit faster. Our apoapsis is already at 40K. So we're definitely going fast enough. We don't need to go any faster than this. Slam ourselves to the side here. Let's crank up the engine. Get rid of the boosters. And we can run some science as well. Probably the radiation study, I would imagine. Radiation study hasn't been ran over carbon water in the atmosphere before, probably, but I don't think we have 50 more seconds in atmosphere anyway, so I don't think that's going to matter. But we are pushing ourselves up. I'm okay with this. I think this is a pretty good ascent profile. I don't think it's as clean as it could have been, but we're doing all right here. Definitely. We're face towards the horizon here. Try to really push it. Remember, we're using this engine because it has a good advantage in the atmosphere. It has higher ISP though in vacuum, so we can still use it in vacuum better. But we definitely just want to make sure that we're not burning this one in atmosphere because it's way less efficient. And that's our stage that we want, of course, to take us all the way, man. Take us to DUNA. So, all right, so I think I'll probably stop at around, what, 80? Oh, we did it. We completed it. We did stay in the atmosphere for it, so that's really nice. Cool. All right, I'm happy with that. Great. And it's pretty free power-wise too, because the engine is also, you know, there's an alternator that's feeding electricity from that engine burn into the batteries, and so you don't need solar power or anything to power as long as you're also burning your engine, because most engines, I don't know if it's in KSP2, I don't know, but KSP1 it wasn't that way, but in KSP2 every engine, as far as I can see anyway, does generate some electric charge while it's firing, so that's cool. I see that AP is dropping, so that's good. I do want to eventually hit the apoapsis while I'm burning, but remember, I'm trying to burn off as much of this fuel as I can, and then deorbit this stage. So we'll be decoupling this stage before our periapsis is completely out of atmosphere. Seems pretty good. I like this. I like the pace we're doing here. 17, 16, 15. We can punch it up a little bit here. There we go. 14, 13, 12. Let's keep it at 13. There we go. 13 is locked at 13. This is great. Let's dial it back down. Dial it down. I want to get to where it's at like 0. So seems pretty good from there. And we are going to stop. All right, now that's not a great stop, but it is at least, it's still technically in periaps. And if we were to stage this, that stage, I believe, is going to deorbit. I don't actually know because that's too close, but I believe this stage is the one that gets pushed forward. And so that's how we achieved orbit. We actually achieved orbit by decoupling, but I don't think this one gets the benefits of that. I'm pretty sure that one gets pushed back. I mean, that Newton's laws say it does, right? So yes. All right, so based on the results of our test flight, I've made some modifications to our rocket. Obviously, we have some new friends at the bottom here. We have more boosters, and there's 2 more, in fact, kind of between all of our aerodynamics here, our control surfaces. I've also reduced the number of control surfaces on the boosters to 1 apiece, because I don't think we need that many. And, you know, they're just going to help us. Yeah, they're just going to help us do that. I did not strut the top, and perhaps I should go to structures, strut, just to keep it a bit more stable. I guess I will go ahead and strut the top. Just the 1, huh? Is that all we're doing? Just the 1? No, I think we're going to do more than that. Yeah, we're going to... Wow, hey, camera. What's going on? Okay, you don't want to just go way up here, huh? Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Can you go back down where I was, please? Thank you. Now let's just real quick strut this. Come here. Let's do it from this stage. I want to get rid of the struts if I can, so I don't want them to be lingering. There we go. So just a little extra stability there. Apparently that is still not symmetrical. I still did 2x instead of 4x. All right, 4x done. All right. So along with that, I've added additional tanks. So there's one additional tank here up here to feed more fuel to the engine. And of course, our thrust to weight ratio is pretty bad at the top end of that flight there. It looked very much like we were not going to get to orbit, and because it's just not enough power. So you might think adding more fuel is a bad thing because you're adding more weight. And I've also added an extra tank right here too, so that the bottom engine can burn even longer. But I'm making up for it more than enough by swapping out that engine. We're no longer using the Rhino. So instead of having 1534 thrust in atmosphere, which is the overwhelming majority of this engine's flight, we're going to upgrade to the Mammoth 2. And that has more than double the thrust at 3701. We're sacrificing a little bit of efficiency with that because this engine is lighter. It also adds less weight to the craft overall than the Mammoth does at 15 tons. This one weighs almost twice as much as this engine does. And so its ISP in atmosphere goes from 285 down to 270. But I think the additional fuel and really just that extra thrust is gonna make up for the laggard performance that we had at the top of that launch. So I think that is all I really needed to do. We kind of adjusted the Delta V a little bit to where there's a slightly less than we had at the bottom, and there's more in the middle. And in exchange for that, the slightly less that we have is going to push us a lot more with more authority. And so I'm hoping that gets us out of the atmosphere faster and we can coast a little bit, maybe burn the Mammoth in vacuum a little longer. It does have more thrust in vacuum and also more efficiency in vacuum. So the more we can burn it in vacuum, still the better. But yeah, all right, let's launch this for real. Okay, so we got there. We got 1,100 left in this stage, and we have to deorbit this stage too. So burning the fuel off of this one is easy as well. But this is going to make it easier to get with Ike and all that is because we're already out. So yeah, let's go ahead and control DUNA 1. There we go. Bob and Danwig. Just been casually chilling above the red planet for years. About 2 years now. They've been here waiting for a rescue mission. We're going to get you Get you right now. We're just going to set this as the target. And then on the ascending node. Oh, okay, here we go. First maneuver, descending node for target right there. Okay, right there. At that point, I want to burn prograde and get ourselves out. Nope, I want to burn prograde and get ourselves out there to where we're almost, that's almost an encounter right there. Shit. That's actually really close. I mean, we're going to be going completely opposite directions, and it's not going to be great, but the fact that it's kind of possible to almost meet up there is really cool. Like, yeah. We're only going to be 2 kilometers away from each other, but we're going to be traveling at 1,300 meters per second. So that's nice. We're not going to be able to slow down. We're going to pass each other at 2 kilometers. Let's not get that close. Let's pull that back a little bit. We don't need to spend that fuel. So 236 is what we've got. So let's do some maneuvers with this craft now. Because this thing's gonna deorbit anyway. We don't need it, right? So this thing goes to the ground. I mean, we could leave it in orbit as like for posterity, but I think there's no point. No, it's a station that has no function. No additional function anyway. Let's make sure our engines are up. Yep, thrust limiter is at 100%. Fantastic. Okay. Let's get to our maneuver here. All I really had to do is just look at this craft and say, oh, look, you're at 66, so that must not be atmosphere. That would have been easier. All right, we're going to start the burn. I think we can start it early. Doesn't really matter. This is just to get us out there so we can adjust our inclination a little easier. And also to meet up with the other craft, of course. So there you go. You can see the little points here chasing each other. Those are those points where it's like you're going to be here when when your target is there, kind of thing, right? So we're out there, and now again it would be the descending node now. Correct, the descending node to target. We want to have ascending node. Oh, we're going down. Right. We're ascending at this point. Okay, so we are now at the ascending node for the target, and at that point we want to come down about like this. So try to adjust our inclination to where it matches up. Now it's obviously going to shift our orbit as well, so we're going to have to do a little prograde at the same time to counteract that. And so we can just kind of fine-tuning this. No, we need to go this way. Yep, that way. And then take it back. There we go. So it's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. Sure is. I think our relative velocity will be a lot more kind to us at that particular point. But we do need to shift our orbit as well. We need to shift it out to where it's out that way instead for the apoapsis. So we'll do that over here later. But this is much closer in inclination. I think we can maybe make do with this. It's going to cost us another 241. Which isn't a big deal because this craft has 729 remaining. So very good. Let's go ahead and get ourselves over to that maneuver there too. All right, there we go. All right. And we can pretty much start this at any time. It doesn't have to be precise. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's actually a 13-second burn, so precision is probably better here because it's a short burn. And since we are adjusting inclination, doing it exactly on the point is actually going to be preferred. So yeah, we'll do it right on the point. Okay. And go. Maneuver it around a little bit there. And bring that inclination up. Like this. And that seems really close. So our inclination is now off. That's either 8.7 or 0.7. And based on what I'm looking at here, I'm thinking that's 0.7. We're off by 0.7 degrees. That's really easy to do. That's awesome. All right, so the next thing to do now is we want to shift our orbit. So right around our target's periaps, we're going to burn that way. Oh, it's the other way. Of course it is. We're going to burn that way. And that's going to bring our orbit to be kind of closer to where our target's is. About like that. And then we could maybe get away with a little prograde at that point too. And then let's bring it in a little bit more. We don't need to go quite as extreme as we did on this side. There we go, just a little bit. All right, there's 135 meters per second in this burn. We got 463 left. And I think we can probably just get a little bit closer to it. It's a 6-second burn. Here we go. 6 seconds remaining. 5, 4. Here comes the lights. And go. Maybe started a little early, but that's okay. And we're going to get to about there. All right. That's fine. So our apoapsis is now out there with our target. It's closer, right? It's not precise, but it's closer. The next thing we have to do is bring in our periapsis because our target is closer to DUNA. It has a more oval shape. Ours is more rounded because we don't have that additional gravity effect of being that close. So in order to get ourselves to be more oval, we need to bring our periapsis closer to our target. But the reason why I haven't done that yet is because if we go around several times, and it looks to me like actually we're close right now, but if you're not going to be close to your target, because it's possible that like when we get over here, our buddies are over here. And if we bring our orbit in sync with it, then we're never going to catch each other. So you want to have one of them moving a lot faster than the other, at least until you get a little closer. But in this case, we are actually pretty close to each other. And we're going to get right here. And then we can go ahead and bring in. Now, what we want to do here is, you see our yellow line. Our yellow line, we don't want to get too close. I think we're going to go, I'm going to go about like this. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to go about here. Stop. So what I'm trying to do is keep our periapsis above our target because our target's behind us right now. So when you have two targets, you have two ships that are orbiting the same body, right? Whichever one is closer to the surface of that body, whichever one is closer to it, is going to have a faster orbital period. It's going to, relative to you, travel faster. That means it's behind us, it's going to catch up to us. Now over here on the top side where the apoapsis, I cannot move the camera. What is going on here? There it goes. Over here on the top side though, I am further out than my target. Or sorry, yeah, my target's more further out than me. So I'm actually moving faster relative to that target. I'm going to be pulling ahead of it here. So I want to correct that. Before I correct that, let's get our inclinations better because I think I'm off a little bit here and I would like to be like spot on. So how about we grab our maneuver node one more time. We're going to go ascending node target, which is over here. And I need to adjust this. That's the wrong way. I need to adjust this to where my launch profile is the same as my target. Why is that not updating? Is it updating and I just don't see? You focus on DUNA, please. Is it updating and I just don't see it? Yeah, we should have pretty much the same inclination there. It's like 1 meter per second. It's nothing. All right, we're gonna do a really small burn here to meet up with that. I'm just gonna thrust limit here. And let's see what we can get from this. I don't see the ascending node and descending node. Oh, there it is. No, it's not changing. It still says 0.7. I would expected it to show me it changing, but it doesn't do it. Ascending node. On the ascending node. Descend. There it goes. Okay, it's showing me now. It's updating. I need to maybe zoom in a little further. So that right there is all I need. 3 meters per second. And that will get me exactly the same inclination as my target. It's beautiful. Okay. We'll face that. And maneuver really quickly. Let's go ahead and get to the maneuver. So relative to the target, I'm going faster. But that's going to change over here. And I'm actually going to adjust it over here to where I'm just outside of this target's orbit. So this vessel will always get closer to me without me having to do anything. All I have to do is make sure my apoapsis is above the target's apoapsis. So, okay. So one more little 2-second burn here with my 2% thrust. And that is good enough, I think. That is good enough. So we have the exact same, it's 0.0 degrees, the exact same inclination as our target now. Everything is lining up. So then the next thing I want to do is, again, I want to put our apoapsis above our target so that it will it'll pass by us. And that's over here. Let's go ahead and get my engines to have a higher thrust again. Here we go. And we just want to go prograde a little bit here. Push ourselves again just a little bit above it. It doesn't have to be a lot above it, just a little bit. So we'll point that. I'm not going to go by the maneuver. I'm not going to go that much above it. I'm just going to go a little bit. So let's just zoom to the maneuver here. And as soon as this craft gets below us, which it is right now, we can do it from here. It's fine. I don't think that's a problem. We'll just go. I have to see the. I want to see the line here. I think I'm above it here. I think I'm above it there. Yeah, I'm mostly above it. There might be a period of time where I'm still slightly below it, looks like, but for the overwhelming majority of this orbit, I am above my target. So at this point, we can go around with time acceleration, and my target is traveling faster relative to me, so it is going to catch me. All right, and it looks like right here we're 700. What is this? 500 and is that a point or a comma? Why would I be 723 kilometers? Oh, I see. He's still way back here. That's why. Okay, so I need to go a little bit faster here. Yep, here we go. Let's just time accelerate some more. It's got to catch me, so it's going to catch up to me. And what we can do is, while we pass by these points, we can get an update by mousing over them. And it's, again, it's very small, but like it's going to tell us when we are closer to our target. It's going to tell us at what point. Here we go. Come on. Am I still below it over there? Is that what's happening here? Because it didn't catch me. Come on, get up here. You should be catching up to me faster than this. I think I'm still below it over here. I am. I'm still below it over here. So I'm actually getting a little bit of speed back, a little bit of distance back over here. But I think it is slowly catching up to me. It's very, very slight. I'm gonna make it another adjustment over here to make sure that my apoapsis is above it. So right here, I'll just say right about from here, we're just gonna burn prograde really quick. There we go. Now it's got to catch me now, right? It's got to happen now. I know it's hard to see the numbers. I apologize for that. So as we go around, right, it's been catching up to me slowly. And now we're going to be way closer to it, right, on our approach here. And actually, it might be a good idea to burn a little bit retrograde here just to slow ourselves down, because it looks like it might get ahead of me over there. So I'm going to go retrograde really quick over here just to bring myself back with it. And let's see how that affects the target intersect. Because again, it's a very small text. I apologize for that, but it is what it is. All right, so That made it much worse. I think I went too far. Let's go prograde again. And I probably went too far because my engines are not at small increments yet, but here we go. So 51, 50, 63, 44, or 635, 31, 21, 20, 18, 16, 14, 17. Okay, so we're at about 14 kilometers is about what we're going to get for that pass. And I think I can work with that. I can work with that. So real quick, just looking at it again, 14, 17, we're just going to go a little tiny tap there. That's 14 and a half, 14.3. So let's go up to about here. Time warp to here. And when we get there, our target is now going to be right next to us. And it's at this point that we can start to close in on our target just a little bit more precisely. In fact, I might even be able to make a maneuver over here where we are, but I think I'm going to go a little closer here. So let's go about to here. And I don't think we're close enough to necessarily see it, but let's just take a look. Okay, there's our target. Wait, yep, that's our target right there. DUNA rescue. All right. And it's about 14 kilometers away. So what we want to do to get our encounter here is we want to kill off the relative speed and then approach our target. So to do that, we're going to switch this mode over to target mode, which you only have available to you when you have a target vessel like this, or anything. If you have a target, you have a target mode, and it looks like this. And now all of these controls are relative to your target. So you're not burning retrograde. You're burning retrograde relative to your target. And what you're trying to do is relatively kill off all the speed so that you both are traveling at basically there's 0 meters per second difference between the two of you. Then you're going to approach it by facing your target, which there's these two new buttons here, target and anti-target. And that's how we're going to do it. So you'll see that in an example right now. So I'm going to go a little bit closer. I know it's going to get about 14 or so at its closest point. So at the closest approach, this is where I want to do it. I know it's going to be a little bit tough here because we're facing into the sun, but it's okay. So right about here is about the closest approach we're going to get. I need to burn off 6.7 meters per second. So we're just going to burn target retrograde to burn off that relative speed. And then as soon as we have that, we're going to swap over. We're going to rotate towards the target. And we're going to right straight at the target here. Boom. All right. So now our trajectory right now is crap, right? Like we're probably going to go to the ground. We're probably going to go right at DUNA, and it looks like we're probably going to crash. Yeah, we're going in the atmosphere, but that's okay because we're going towards our target, and we're never going to get there because by the time we get to our target, then we're going to kill off the relative speed, and by burning that relative speed, eventually our orbit's going to be the same as our target anyway. So right now, our closest approach now is just a mere 200 meters. So at some point, we're going to pass by each other here, but we're going to be 200 meters apart when we do. So let's time accelerate. And when we get to be about like 500, 600 meters apart or whatever, we'll definitely be able to clearly see that craft. And when we get there, we will then burn. In fact, I should probably turn that way right now. We will then burn target retrograde. That will burn off the relative velocity between us and our target, making us basically look like we're both at a standstill because we have the exact same orbit at that point right next to each other. So here we go. It's going to be coming in. We're 800 meters, 700 meters. Here we go. And we can clearly see our target now. There we go. And I can burn that speed off now. So 16 meters per second. We need to kill that. So we're just going to kill that. And again, this is relative to our target, not retrograde on DUNA. So if I burn too far, for example, let's say I burn too far and I'm going the other way now. Now target retrograde is going to be facing the opposite direction. If that was the case. It's not the case because I didn't go too far, but that would be the case. I did go too far. There. Yeah, target retrograde. This is what I want to do. Now it's not It's not turning. That's interesting. You should be turning around. Turn around. I'm not sure why it's not responding to this control. I think it's because this point just keeps moving. But either way, we're not going fast enough to where it matters, so I can point at my target right now and go a little bit closer to my target. You'll notice as I burn forward, my prograde vector is moving. And it's because I'm, accelerating towards my target. So I think you have to be going a little bit faster in order for that vector to actually be accurate. It should be more accurate than that anyway, but it doesn't seem like it is. All right, let's get closer. Coming on in, 245. There we go. So we're about 100 meters or so away from our target right now. Now I could go ahead and get my Kerbals out of there and just move them over here now. I could do that, but I don't think it's necessary yet to do that. I want to show you that you can get right up next to these crafts like this, and just it's much easier to just do it this way, and then they'll just get out and transfer when we're right next to each other instead. So now I'm basically going to hit my target. Again, I'm sorry about the angles and the fact that we're looking into the sun, but it's just how it goes, man. All right, 75, 74. This is close enough, I think. Let's kill this velocity, and we are now just a mere 60 meters away from this other craft. All right. That's pretty dang good. When you do things in space, especially when you have multiple vehicles very close together, you want to take it slow. Any major change you do could have an impact that you can't recover from in time, because space is dangerous, bro. There you go. That's my advice for you today. That's my quote of the day. Space is dangerous, bro. All right, so this is how we would normally dock a craft. That's how you can do it. And then at this point, you want to get precision. You want to control from your docking port, target the other docking port, and then you have a whole new ball of wax there with, controlling it with RCS and everything. We'll do that a little bit, probably a lot of it. We're going to do that when we go to try to get our science from that lathe probe. That's when we're going to do that. I think it's going to be great. Is this close enough? I think this is definitely close enough for us to just do what we need to do. So I want to kill off this relative velocity. We're basically standing still now. And Bob is going to get out. He's going to turn on his RCS. He's going to back away from this craft. And he's going to go down. I'm not sure why that's moving. That's weird. Why are you moving like that? Excuse me? Why are you what? No. Face. Just hold still, bro. What are you doing right now? Hold still. Okay. So let's get over here. And now we can transfer Bob to this craft. And if I'm correct in my assumptions, this should also, based on what we've seen so far, this should also transfer all of the science that is in that craft that we've, all the DUNA stuff from the surface and everything. All that stuff should now be transferred to our main vessel as soon as I enter this pod. That's what seems to happen. So we're just going to go in there. We're going to board. And now this craft should have all of our samples, all of our data, all that stuff has now been transferred into this pod. Very cool. Okay. Now, I'm not going to be able to control this thing. That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like how to deorbit this. I'm not going to be able to control this thing. So what I think I need to do is I need to burn a little bit retrograde, just enough to where the periapsis is in the atmosphere, which it may already be, but I'm going to put it at like 50 something. Let's go retrograde. Not target. We want to go orbital retrograde now. And then once we have a periapsis that is in the atmosphere, I will then exit this with the Kerbal and then make my way over to that craft. So here we go. We're going to do this. You have to do this really quickly, though. Okay, that's good. Exit the craft. Let go. Let go. Let go. Let go. Let go. Why are you not letting go? Let go. Shit. And then the Kerbal needs to offset all that speed to get back to this craft. He wouldn't let go. Damn you. I'm hitting spacebar over and over again. There we go. And I'm finally getting closer to DUNA rescue. So we did it. That craft over there is now going to deorbit. And this one survives. This one will carry on and do great things in Ike, or near Ike. At least I think that's what we're going to do with this. We might as well use all the fuel that's in this as well. So I think we'll use this stage to, get our encounter with Ike and get our landing prepped and all that stuff. We can do all that. And then just as we're on our way down for the landing, we can let it crash into Ike instead of DUNA's atmosphere. I think that's going to work out better. Okay, so here we go. We have successfully gathered our Kerbals and popped them into our new vessel. Our old vessel, we have no control over, but again, its periaps and everything is into the atmosphere. There's a chance that the parachutes just deploy and they're armed or something, and they might deploy and save it, but I don't think so. I think it's going to die. If it doesn't, and the parachutes work, well, then we have a thing sitting on the surface of DUNA. Still not space junk. That was the whole point. Okay, so the next step, and we're going to do this in the next video, I think, because it's a long video so far. We are going to go ahead and get ourselves over to Ike, get our landing on Ike, do all that stuff, and then get back to Kerbin. And we're going to do all of that before we do anything else. We're going to rescue our people. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you want to see the conclusion of this mission, come back for the next video. Bye-bye.